Alright, here we go. Gonna do a HRL history episode, potentially, maybe. I'm not really sure as of when I pressed record here. Haven't really decided on that yet, but if it does end up being one, then welcome to HRL history episode 13, 14, 9? I don't know. I don't remember the number is. I'll figure it out if that's what I end up doing, but I'm not sure if I'm going to title it that because I'm not exactly sure what this should be considered yet, like a little behind the scenes something. I don't know. But let me give the context here. So, and you can see at the bottom here, bottom 10. So, what that means, I'm sure you can figure out. We finished the track voting, or are very close to finishing the track voting, at least very, 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 very close. It's like 90% done, and I want to give a little insight into a little bit of love to the tracks that didn't make it into the top 25. So that's what I'm gonna go over, and I'm gonna scroll through. I don't want to read them all out again, but I'm gonna scroll through this here, through the guaranteed list. So if you need a little refresher, take a look at that. These are all the tracks that were in the list. So pause the video or whatever if you need a little refresher on that. But yeah, this was the entire track list, and we voted on them, and we again finished the voting. We're just figuring out some tiebreakers right now, and I've got the final count. And what that means is not only do I have the top 25, that was the whole idea here, that we're looking for. This is the whole point of this, what we're trying to figure out, top 25. Not only do I have that, I also have the other set of 25, 26 to 50. So I wanted, like I was saying, I wanted to give a little love to those tracks in these videos, whatever I end up calling this, if it ends up being HRL history or behind the scenes or whatever. Now, this will spoil it a bit, because, obviously, like, these tracks here in this video, you now know, are not in the top 25, but I still want the top 25 to be a reveal. I don't want it to be, I don't want it to be, I don't want the secret to be out before the videos come out. Like, I want it to actually, be somewhat of a secret and have it revealed to everyone, and I think it'd be a little bit better, a little bit more fun that way. So I want to do this first one because, again, these are just the bottom 10. It doesn't eliminate too much, and then I will probably take a bit of a break on these until I get like the first few of the top 25 out, and then maybe somewhere in between, whenever I finish it, I'll do the next of these bottom tracks, or however it ends up going. Basically, I'm just doing this one now because I was excited that we got the voting done, and I wanted to do something on it without spoiling it completely, and I think this is a good way of doing that because it doesn't spoil it completely, but it will show some of the tracks that aren't in it, and it'll still give me a little like practice into the type of video that the countdown will end up being. It'll be a bit different than this for sure. It's not just going to be me talking about the tracks, going through YouTube links. It's definitely not what it's going to be for the countdown. I think you guys will like I think you guys will like the videos for that. I have some stuff planned. I think you guys will like the way that those are handled. But for this behind the scenes stuff, like I said, didn't really have to do this. Like, this wasn't really part of the plan, so I didn't really mind doing this more old style, shabby HRL history type format. All right, so all the preface, all the context, all that stuff. There we go. I think that was pretty good. We got pretty much all of it out there. So let's take a look here. So and I got the whole. So I'm sure some of you probably been looking at it already. I got the whole list here. Of course, that's not how we're gonna do it for the final countdown when we get to the top 25. I'm not 100% sure how I want to do. I know for the top 10, they'll each have their individual video. For the other 15, I'm not 100% sure yet. What I'm thinking about doing is either groups of 5, so like 25, 21, 20, 16, and 15, 11 groups of 5. I'm thinking about doing that, or I might just end up doing a solo video for every track in the list, and the ones for the top 10 will just be a little more in depth. They'll have a little bit more to them. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't really decided on that yet. So anyways, that little bit of a preview for you there on how the top 25 will go. All right, well, I've done enough preface and context. I think I got all that out there. Let's get into this. And this is probably going to be a long one. This is going to be like podcast pretty much. Pretty much end up being like podcast style, but if you want to look at some of this stuff with me and discuss it, I'm sure you'll have a good time watching through it. All right, I feel like I've talked enough, but when we do the other videos, I shouldn't have much else to explain on that. And I guess if you have any other questions, though, if there is anything else about like how, before I completely move on here, the top 25, like how the videos would be done, stuff like that, ideas, suggestions, whatever, definitely leave those in the comments on this video for sure, because I'm just about to start again. Like the voting is really close to being completely done, so which once it's done, I'm going to start working on that. It's going to be more concrete. It's not going to be ideas. I'm going to actually start recording stuff and editing stuff and figuring things out. So the right time for any of those last questions or suggestions or whatever would be now. So yeah, anything like that related to the top 25 list, hit me up sooner rather than later for sure. Okay, I think we're actually good now. Let's get into it. So at the bottom here, number 50th best track, Halo 5, I don't know. Arkadia GP. Unfortunately, well, you can already... oh, I guess I did block this one with the webcam a little bit, but you can see the other two. Unfortunately, there were 3 tracks that did not receive any points, and I'm kind of surprised. I actually thought, you know, 25 tracks, 8 judges. I thought every track would... I don't know, maybe it was the optimistic part of me, but I thought every track would at least get some points. But we ended up with 3 that didn't receive any, which, to be fair, isn't that bad, you know? I would have been really sad if it was like 10 or 15, like that would have been really lame, because that would have meant that all the lists were very similar, probably. Obviously, like, ordering would be different, but like which tracks are in the list and stuff would have ended up being really similar. So in that way, I'm glad that it's only 3, but I'm still a little sad that we couldn't have gotten points for all of these. Unfortunate. And I think they all deserved points too. I think these are 3, like, it's kind of crazy that these didn't get any points. I think these are all 3 really good tracks. I think these are all fantastic. Yeah, let's take a look at the Arkadia, or at least part of it here. I got some footage here. While we talk about the tracks, I have videos pulled up for all of them, actually. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about the tracks a bit, you know, talk about the placing, and we can watch a little bit of footage, my own personal opinion on it, and whatnot. And that's what we'll do for these behind-the-scenes videos. Should be a little fun, and like I said, a bit different than the main videos. You will find out soon. It'll be a little bit different than the main videos for the 25 list as well. So hope you guys enjoy this stuff. All right, so off to the green here. So Arkadia GP was a track made by Detail. Don't recall when exactly, like as in like year wise. You know, it's hard for me to remember this stuff. But as you can see, here's when it was raced: season 6, round 4 of season 6. And he actually didn't make that many tracks. Oh wow. What the heck just happened there? Yeah, definitely want to replay on that. Definitely get me a replay on that past Luch. But he didn't make too many tracks, and I think season 6, I believe, was when he really started to, or maybe he had like, I want to say maybe like season 5, 4 time, he had like some experiments and stuff. But I want to say season 6, like particularly with this track, was when we started racing some of his stuff. He might have had a grand final track in season 5 as well, or maybe that was this season's grand finals. Like, I can't recall off the top of my head. But regardless, I think it was this season where it was like, you know, not only did we start taking his tracks seriously, I think he started doing it as well, right? It wasn't just like experimenting; it was like actually trying to make stuff to be raced on. And a pretty good, again, I don't know if it's like the legitimate debut, but this is like what I think of his tracks debuts, is this one, and it's a pretty good one. Ends up being a pretty good race. I want to say both the motos were pretty solid here. Oh wow, that was some heavy contact. either this Moto 1 or this Moto 2 has like a crazy finish involving me, I want to say. I don't exactly remember what happened. I might have to fast forward and look at it because I know it's like the scatterbrain memory. I know it's something. I know it's something. I don't remember exactly what it is. But as you can see, it's a pretty simple track layout, you know? Nothing too crazy. Here's the start finish here. And it's a pretty fun track. I think this one's really fun to run laps on by yourself, especially like this section right here. There's plenty of places to improve upon. Like that's what I really like in tracks, is whether they're simple or not. I really like sections that are just where you can really like just hammer down 100 laps and just keep trying to improve and like hit those apexes and stuff like that. And I think this track has some pretty good sections that that lead to stuff like that. And ends off with a neg camber here, which is pretty famous. I think a lot of I think a lot of tracks ended up having these neg cambers on GPs. For Detail in particular, I think it was like kind of a staple of his. But yeah, I mean that's really. I don't really know what else to say about this one, Arkadia. Unfortunate that this one didn't get any votes because I actually think this is a pretty solid track and was a solid race, and just shows how competitive the track voting was. And also, in a way though, this was the track that we ended up having to do a tiebreaker for as well. That's another little tidbit. I guess I could add that in here too. So Cherry Blossom and this track tied in the voting that we did to figure out which tracks would be in the top 50 pool to vote for the top 25. Cherry Blossom and this track tied at 10th. So we did a tiebreaker there, and this track ended up winning a coin. We literally had to go to a coin flip because the vote tied. So this track won the coin flip. So in some ways, it's kind of nice that it didn't. You know, it would have been really unfortunate if Cherry Blossom lost out on a coin flip and then this track like was like 16th or something. You know, like that would have been pretty unfortunate. So in that way, it's kind of nice that it didn't make the final list because you know, not that it didn't deserve it. Like I said, I think this track is really good. It just like part of me would feel a little bad if it was like RNG and then it ends up being pretty high up there. You know what I mean? Like that would feel kind of bad to me. So at least that's like a silver lining there. But let's skip to the. I want to see what happens here because I want to see like my freaking cheesy memory and whatever. Oh, is it against Real Deal? Oh God, I think I know what happened now. Oh no. Oh no. I think I know what it is now. I think I know what it is. But yeah, this. I think I remember this now. So we'll skip ahead here. Oh shit, I'm gonna have to start speeding stuff up. This is gonna be a really long video if I'm going at this pace. Ooh. Or maybe we'll just do it. We'll split it in 2 parts. I don't know. Like I said, it's solo because I'm just here, but it's gonna be podcast style pretty much. So we'll take a look. So another reason why I thought this race or why this track might score pretty highly is because, you know, like I said, not just the tracks themselves and what you think about, you know, the quality of the tracks, how it looks, how it races. It's not just about how it races in terms of like how it feels for you to run laps on it. It's racing against other people. How were the races on it, you know? Not just it being fun to run laps on. So, and this track goes for that. I think this track made for really good racing, and this is one of the craziest finishes to a race that we had. I make this run on Real Deal here at the end, and there, you know, you need more context. Like if you saw before this, it was like I was working down at it for a couple laps. So the fact that I had it happen here on the last lap, I believe, was pretty nuts. And Real Deal went for it. He tried to get the pass back right there. Unfortunate. But yeah, I thought that because this was what I remembered, and also like just the racing being crazy, like those crashes in the beginning were pretty nuts. You know, I think the Moto 1 was decent as well. So I thought that like the quality of this race would maybe help it out a little bit, but unfortunately it didn't because this was a pretty good race. Like I actually remember this being one of my favorite races from season 6. Obviously for me, but trying to be objective, I think it was pretty good there too. All right, so I think that'll do it. So Arkadia GP, shout out to Detail for forging that one. Pretty solid track, and unfortunate that, you know, it ended up where it did, but still made the top 50 and was definitely, you know, I'm sure we'll see a remake of it in Infinite. All right, next up, Crimson Crimson Ridge. Is this also season? No, this is season 7. This is a track that's kind of been like forgotten.
Hi, welcome to H.
So this is another one of our 0 votes tracks, unfortunately. And again, this was kind of a surprising one to me because I remember I was talking to I want to say I was talking to Opix about it when we were figuring out like what tracks to include or whatever, and you know, we're trying to figure out like which tracks were which essentially. And you know, all the track judges did that. You know, wow. Who was that on the inside? That was a really good start. Don't tell me that was me because it's going to sound like conceited if it was. It might have, or is that detail? I don't know. Judging by the Spartan, it had to be one of us. That was a crazy good start though. Whoever that was. Crimson Ridge. I actually think this track is pretty good. I'm surprised that this track didn't get any votes. Again, I think it was I think it's one of those things where like it was grand finals, right? It was a grand finals race, and the grand finals races are not everybody would always make it to the grand finals races, right? So like for some people that might rule it out. Like if they didn't race on it, they may not have experienced it and, you know, want to give it that credit. So maybe part of it was that, or maybe part of it was just because it was in such a weird, it was just like placed really weird. I don't know about everybody else, but I don't remember the season 7 grand final that well for whatever reason. Even though looking back on it, looking at the results and looking at it seemed like pretty good. Like the season 7 grand finals seemed pretty good. But for whatever reason, for me in particular, I don't know if anybody else can relate, I just found this, I find it very hard to remember stuff from this grand finals. And, you know, maybe part of it, too, is because, like, the season 4 grand finals, the season 5 grand finals, and season 6 as well, like, that 3 grand finals runs, all 3 of those were crazy. All 3 of those were crazy. Absolutely nuts. Like, the highlight of competition in Halo 5, in my opinion, were the season 4, 5, and 6 grand finals. In season 4, you had the storyline of, you know, Fireball making that incredible run and Slaunch not being able to hold on in season, on the last race in Guerco. And then in season 5, you had the storyline of Slaunch coming back, right? You know, he probably wasn't very happy about how the season 4 one went. You know, it was unfortunate. It was unfortunate to lose out on the lead that he had in that last race. So he came back and had a really good performance in season 5 and got that grand finals win. And then in season 6, that crazy race on Frommel with the 3-way crash between Slaunch Detail and I. And we were all competing for it too. We all still had a realistically, I think Slaunch and I were unfavored. I think we were unfavored, but we all like technically still had a chance. We technically, or unfavored at that point. If it was Moto 1, I think we all had a good shot. But Moto 2, because DTL already won the first Moto, I think that Slaunch and I were already a little unfavored. But again, we all still had a shot. And then the 3-way all championship contenders, and it was just this crazy Halo 5 cheese crash. It was nuts. It's one of the most memorable parts of our racing in Halo 5. My slipper just fell off my foot. But seriously though, it was one of the most memorable moments. So I think maybe that's why I don't, and maybe other people as well, just didn't remember Crimson Ridge and the season 7 grand finals as well. Again, let me know if you agree with me on that. It could be because of how great that those 3 grand finals were in that little run. Like those were just absolutely insane. And this one, while not being too bad, I have to look at the results again. I think I won this one. I want to say I think I won this grand final, but I'm not 100% sure. But it wasn't bad, but it wasn't as crazy as the other 3. The other 3 were all just like super memorable. So maybe this track being included in the one that had to follow up the 3 crazy grand finals kind of like hurt its memorability a little bit, which is unfair to it, but that's just how things work out sometimes. And I think part of it too is Slaunch also made Outlands. I think Outlands had already been constructed by this, and I think even he would agree that Outlands is just that's probably like his magnum opus on H5. Like that's easily his best track. So I think that this track, while not being bad, I think this track's pretty good actually. You know, I'm surprised that this one didn't get any points, just like Arkadia. I think this track's really good. I think it's just that, you know, it's going to get compared to Outlands. It's going to get compared to Outlands, And when you compare it to Outlands, again, I think even Slaunch would go Outlands like every time. And it's just unfortunate for this track because I think this one's good in its own right. It just has to compete with his other own work that's really good. So that's just kind of how it worked out. But yeah, Crimson Ridge, I like this track. This track's really good. Really good 49th place in the list. I mean, it just shows how stacked the competition is because for a track this good to be this low for these first two. So we're already showing how stiff the competition was here. Is this the end of the race? Is Roman making a run here on Slaunch, like for the lead or something? Or maybe it's for like second. There's a person in front of him. There might be a lapper. I don't know. I kind of want to watch the end of this now because I'm like invested. we do these little reviews on the videos, and now I'm just like, now I'm invested. I wanna see how this pans out. Is that? Oh, maybe I'm in the lead. That had to be me with the whole shot, right? Okay, maybe that's me with the win here. All right, let's listen to the commentary.
I don't think he has enough room to go for it.
I feel like Slaunch wins this overall, though.
No,
or maybe he wins
no
Moto
way.
2? I don't know. Something.
And then it's going to be Slaunch 3rd, Roman 4th, Detail 5th, and then I'll get the rest of the top 10.
Oh, yeah. So I want his
No,
fireball.
that legit is the end of the first one, so we're going to have to get up for the second one here in a second.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. Okay, so that makes sense. All right, moving on. So yeah, two really good tracks to start off with. Tampa Bay. This is another one. I'm surprised. I'm surprised this one didn't get any votes either. I'm really. I didn't expect. I expected, you know, maybe a couple tracks to not get votes. I didn't think it would be the 3 tracks that ended up not getting any votes.
Armada makes a mistake though.
If that makes sense. Like I thought it would happen to some tracks. I didn't think it would happen to these 3 tracks though. That's just how it goes sometimes. But here's Tampa Bay. Oh, nice. We get a little overhead shot here. So this is I forged this one. I'm not sure if I had any help on this one. I know Armada and I do have forged a lot of tracks at this time. I don't know if he worked on this one at all with me or not. I'm not quite sure. I'm sure you'll comment on that at some point. But yeah, this track was another season 7, right? Yeah, another season 7 Supercross track here. Not gonna lie, I'm surprised this one got 0 points because I thought this would be Slaunch's type of track. I thought he would vote for it, or maybe Roman would get a respectful Supercross vote, and even if it was just for like a point or two. But unfortunately, along with those other 2 tracks, this one didn't get any. And let's take a look at it. So, yeah. Down with this gate here. Holy moly. All right, there we go. But yeah, so Tampa Bay, this was when I was making a lot of remake Supercross tracks for the tracks that they were racing in real life for Supercross. I was planning like a Supercross, a real life remake series where the whole series, the whole season was going to be the Supercross schedule. We're going to race all the remakes that I worked on, and it was like this passion project that I had at the time because I was really into Supercross at the time, and I was really into making these remakes every week. So it was like this passion project that unfortunately never ended up panning out, which is yeah, super unfortunate because it would have been really cool. I think it would have been one of the coolest things that we did in H5 if I got to do it. I think it would have been sweet, and I'm sure there's a lot of people, like I was saying, the people that I thought might have voted for this track, Slaunch and Roman, I think they would have been excited for that as well, because I don't know if it was going to be, I'm sure some other people would have made some tracks for it as well. I don't think I would have actually done all of them. I would have done a big chunk of them because I was already doing so many, but I'm sure they would have probably done some as well. I'm sure Detail would have gotten in there as well. I'm sure, you know, Armada might have tried something. I wouldn't be surprised if we were actually going to do that at one point, if everybody like pitched in and did their thing, you know, did their own track or two to put in that remake schedule. But yeah, there's if this does end up being the HRL history, well, there you go. That's a pretty good HRL history there for you. The series that never was. Like I said, little passion project. It's unfortunate that we never got to do it because I think it would have been really cool. I think it would have been really cool. It would have been a long departure because it would have been a long season. There's a lot of tracks, but it would have been, I think, a welcome departure for a lot of people from the normal main series seasons, and that's something that I want to do, you know, in Infinite. While I would enjoy the main series returning and being a thing in Infinite, personally, I mean, I don't know how anybody else feels. Again, I keep saying, like, you know, leave your thoughts, but there's like I said, this whole podcast type video, there's a lot to unpack. Hoping I get like a paragraph comment from Roman. I'm sure I will. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear opinions about this. I don't know. For me personally, I would like to see. Ooh, a little crash there. I would like to see more. I would like to experiment more. Like, we experimented a little bit with the series in Halo 5, but not to the extent that I wanted to end up doing. And you know, I have the doc. I'm pretty sure I shared it at some point. Like, there was a lot more planned that ended up not happening. Like, there was a lot more planned that ended up not coming to fruition. And in Infinite, I would like to explore some of that stuff potentially again. And it also depends, right? It depends because you know, we don't know how the Forge is going to be. We don't know how different the gooses are gonna be with different tracks and all these like different factors, right? You know, like World of Outlaw was something that we were really having fun with in Halo 4 and MCC, and then we come to Halo 5 and we just like can't do it. It's just like not the same. And you know, who knows what that could happen with in Infinite. I hope that Infinite's great for all the racing types, but you never know, right? So that might factor in as well. But while I would like to do some main series stuff for the culture, you know, for the tradition's sake, essentially, personally, I would like to do some more experimental stuff like this this SX series that this track was kind of planned for. So let me know what you think about that. Anyways, that was a big tangent. Let me talk about the track for a little bit. So the Tampa Bay, whichever Supercross season this was raced in, it was a while ago now, so I don't really remember off the top of my head, but whichever season this was raced in, I thought this track was sweet. I thought this track was really cool in real life, and I wanted to try my best at remaking it. And I think I did a decent job. It's not perfect. I think the sand section could have been a little bit better. I could have, you know, I don't know. I could have approached that differently. I don't think it's terrible, but I like this section, though. Like, these sand doubles I think is pretty fun. And the first section is what I'm really proud of. The first section here I think is really good. It reminds me of like the skill section on Outlands. It's that type of thing. It's different than that one, but it's similar in the sense that you really got to like find your groove in it. But when you do find your groove, there's some really sick lines that you can hit, and you can gain a lot of time, and it adds a big skill gap. Like the majority of the skill gap on this track is that first section and finding that groove there. Although there is a little bit of it elsewhere too. Like this part, this bridge jump, landing it perfectly can get you some time. The sand section is cheesy. Hitting this triple, like there are other areas of this track that definitely take some skill as well. But the big one is this section here, and I wanna go on board with Slancher because I think Slancher and I are in first and second. I think we first and seconded. I think we swapped. I think like I want to say he wins this moto, I get second, and then I win the next one, he gets second. I want to say we swapped. But we were both I want to say the most consistent drivers when it came to hitting that first section. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for. Like I know I'm watching like the battle here. Oh wow, that was tough for whoever that was. Is that Hunter? Whoever that was tough. I want to watch. Let's see if we get a view here before I switch to the next track. I want to see a good run through that section. Come on, go to one of. Okay, maybe I should just go to the last lap, maybe, or like towards the end. We'll probably be on board with one of us, right? Maybe. I hope. Whoa, what the hell? That was weird. Did you see that? The video for... Oh, wow. That was weird. Huh. That was in the video, too. That wasn't like my internet or anything. Huh. Weird. Odd. Alright, well, I'm just gonna... If this isn't it, then I'm just gonna switch, because I don't wanna take up too much time here. But this is the part I'm proud of. I wanted to show it. It's like, no. Okay, maybe... So it's the last time I'm looking for it. Maybe let's just watch the first lap. Because one of us, whoever gets out in front probably hits it good the first lap or the second lap. So here's Slaunch, right? Let's see what he does. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do anything here because he's on the inside. That was still pretty clean. Oh, okay, well, got a little cheesy at the end. But, I mean, that's because they're all side by side and stuff. He wasn't able to hit the line. I'm sure he'll do it here. There we go. Yep. So he gets that double in. Off the table, into there. Just clean throughout. And you can do that. That's like the clean way. I think the way he just hit it was the safe way, which was the right way that I found. Just be consistent. But there was also like a fast line you could do as well, but it was a little less consistent. But it was pretty cool. All right, moving on from Tampa Bay. Yeah, this is going to be a long video. This might be a part thing. I do this for the top 25 videos as well. Again, I want to give every track the love that it deserves. All right, let's look at Anaheim 2. This is another launch track, I think.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, first off, I actually intentionally put this here because I wanted to show.
Because we. There it is, Slaunch. Nice try. So an early ball in Slaunch is because.
Oh, did Slaunch get eliminated?
Nice try.
Oh, that's ironic. I didn't know that. I just wanted to show the tribe has spoken. I love this part of the elim tourneys. This was fun.
The tracks that are in the votes for next
I guess
season.
Slaunch got eliminated on that
Dillian.
race.
I think
Unfortunate.
Dillian
Unfortunate.
Maybe one of the returning GP.
Going
track
into
vote
Anaheim
in the
too as
SX
well.
voting.
Oh well, look, it was a bunch of GPs. That's
So
probably
just trying to
why.
keep,
That's unfortunate.
Maybe have some preference towards. This is just going to be as we have Optic. While everybody lines up.
That was not intentional. I just wanted to show. That's funny that that transition works out that way. That he gets eliminated before this track of his that I'm going to show off.
Yeah, those two rhythm.
That's funny that it ends up working out that way. But I just wanted to show the tribe has spoken thing because I thought that was fun. All right, so here we have Anaheim 2. I don't think this track was like fully finished. I don't know if it ever got completely finished. I think it was just like a project that he was working on. You know. Maybe this could be a race that we could shoehorn into the, you know, if we ever take a look at some at racing some tracks that never got raced on, maybe we could work this one in somehow because, you know, even though it was done enough to be raced here, I want to say it was still like, it was like 80 or 90% done. Like when we raced it in this elim tourney, I want to say like he still was tweaking stuff. I'm not really too sure. I don't exactly remember. But this track was pretty good. I think this track was, you know, so you have Outlands, which I think was a really great track from Slaunch, and I think this track does a good job at trying to come close to that, while still being its own thing. Like it's still, you could still like see the style of Outlands, I guess, if that makes sense, in the way that the sections flow, but it still has a lot of its own things. Like that sand section's like really distinct for it. This track has some really cool skill sections as well. There's one crazy one that we're coming up to here soon, maybe. This little twisty double into the triple there is pretty cool. Definitely different. I love the little sand ruts coming up. I want to say it's like this section's pretty tricky, but can be pretty dope when you hit it correctly, which a lot of us probably weren't because it was a freaking elimination tournament. We didn't have practice, so it was, you know, it was pretty rough for this, but I'm sure if it was a race and we had practice going into it, we would have been able to show it off a lot better. But yeah, this little back-to-back section here is probably like the premier part of the track. I don't have as much to say about this one because, again, it was just an elimination tournament race. And also the part that I was talking about where it might have been like 80 to 90% done. I don't exactly recall if that's true or not. But regardless, this still got a shout in the list for being really fun in that elimination tournament race, enough for us to include it here. And it even got some points. I'll take a look at the points here after this lap. Because we'll probably switch to the next track. But yeah, Anaheim 2. Pretty sweet. And again, like when I was talking, I don't know if this worked out that way, but this could have been a track in that series. So again, like I was saying, how other people would have came in and made, like I wonder if that's why he made this, or if it was just coincidental or what. But But I mean, either way, it could have worked. So that's pretty cool too. And you can tell like it's cool the difference in styles too. Like this is obviously a bit of a different. While there are some similarities, you could definitely tell there is definitely some different style here between how I made Tampa Bay and how I made this in the remake tracks. But they both turned out pretty good, in my opinion. Alright. So let's move on from Anaheim 2 here. If it wasn't an elimination tournament race, I'd probably have more to talk about. And it got 4 points. It got 4 points in 47th. There you go. Alright, so next is Frontier. Pretty sure this is a Roman track.
That's a really unfortunate crash, to be honest.
Oh, that's tough.
Goes down.
I was looking at this. I was looking at this video the other day because I had to remind myself what this track was because I recognized the name but I didn't remember the track. And this happened to me for a lot of tracks. I literally loaded up the video. I just saw the track. You know, I didn't even see a lap. I just saw the track and I was like, oh, okay. And that's how I am. You know. That's how I am. It's like I don't have to watch a lap. As soon as I like see the thumbnail, a lot of the time I'll just be like, oh yeah, okay, it's that. But yeah, Frontier. Frontier coming in at 46th. Again, Roman track here. I actually think, and I mean I'm gonna say this for every track. Like I said, there's not a track. There were some tracks that I didn't particularly like. In our original list, but our final 50 list, I genuinely like all of the tracks in the top 50 list. There's not a, there's not really a track in our top 50 list that I would take out, and that applies to this one as well. It feels like I'm starting to sound like a broken record a bit, but truthfully, I think this track's pretty good too. I actually think this is one of Roman's better Supercrosses, so I'm surprised that this one didn't get more love, but I mean Roman himself must have not even voted very highly for it because it was pretty low in the list. I think this one may have suffered from like, this is gonna sound weird, but I think this one may have suffered from like being too recent. And I know that sounds silly, but like this was from the unfinished season 11, so maybe that's part of why it didn't get as much love. Because it was from the unfinished season, so like even though we did race this track, it just doesn't like feel as complete in the history, if that makes sense. And oddly enough, there are a few other season 11 tracks in this bottom part of the list that we're gonna get to. So I wonder if there's something to my theory there, because there's some really good tracks. There's this one of Roman, another one of Roman's, and one of mine, and I think he would agree that all three of them. I think he would agree with me that all three of them are pretty good. And they're all from season 11, and they all didn't receive a ton of love, which was surprising to me. So I wonder if it's like this with the Halo player list. There was a lot of talk about recency bias, and and how people were favoring recent players because it's just like in their mind. I wonder if it was like almost an opposite effect for these season 11 tracks because it was recent, but it was also like unfinished. So maybe with some of the other tracks where they got to be raced over the course of multiple seasons and built up this rich, yes, I'm going to shout out the word for Jared, this rich lore on some of these other tracks, that it gave some of these newer ones that might have ended up, if we went more seasons, some of these may have came into their own as well and became tracks like that, but they didn't really get that opportunity because of it being like the unfinished season. I don't know. That's just a weird little theory I just threw out there. It's a weird little theory I threw out there. I'm not really sure if there's anything to it, but I feel like there's got to be something to it because it's very weird that there's so many season 11, and then even the other ones were like season 7, season 6. You know what I mean? There's not like we haven't gone back to like season 3 or 1 track. It's been pretty recent stuff through this bottom part of the list, which I find very interesting. But anyways, there's my theory. Let's talk about the track for a little bit. I actually think this is one of Roman's better Supercrosses. I think this is one of the best intermediate Supercrosses that we raced on Halo 5. And what I mean by that is it's not like a super hard track. Like I think like Outlands, Cobra Compound, and Salt Lake are like the really hard tracks, those are the ones where the skill gap really shows, and like your mastery of controlling the mongoose really shows. This one I would consider an intermediate because it's not as tough as those, but it's still got some pretty tough parts to it. And you definitely, like, you can't just ride around on this track. You can't just, yeah, you can't just like drive through the sections. Like, you have to know what you're doing in some of these parts. You have to know, you know, think about how you're like setting up your, oh my god. What was that? Oh my god. All right, whatever. That was hilarious. I'm glad I stalled to be... I didn't know that was coming up. I forgot about that part right there. I'm glad I stalled long enough to see that because I totally forgot about that. That was hilarious. What just happened there? With Fireball coming back and then backing into a dry. That's hilarious. But yeah, so intermediate track, right? You got to think about like where you're setting up. This isn't like what I would consider like a beginner Supercross is one where you can just kind of run inside, outside, middle, wherever. You don't have to really worry about like setting yourself up or throttle control or anything. You just kind of do what you want. You're gonna hit everything. That's what I would consider a beginner one. An intermediate one would be one where there are sections like that, but there's also some skill stuff thrown in where you got to like really be careful or you're gonna get you're just gonna crash out if you're not careful. The tough ones are the ones where it has those sections from the intermediates, but there's just a lot more sections like that, and almost every section is something you gotta like think about, are like the really tough ones. Like I said, I think this is one of the better intermediate Supercrosses in Halo 5. These opening doubles are pretty sweet. This section, not this one that they're going through. Yeah, this section right here that the right side of the pack's going through. Blue guy's going through right now that we just went past. That section, I don't know how to describe it, but that one's pretty nice. I think that part is pretty cool. Doubles in the back. It's got a fun flow to it. It's fun to run laps on. Made for a pretty decent race. Yeah, solid track. Unfortunate that it didn't make it higher. Yeah, so Frontier. 5 points. 5 points. 46. There you go. Frontier. GG. All right, let's go to Treppenwitz, which let's see here. 17 points. 17 points. Interestingly, three people voted for Treppenwitz, but look at this. They almost all put it in the same position. Huh. Weird. That is really weird. Huh. That's crazy coincidental. Almost 3 people voted for the track, and they almost all put it in the same spot in their list. Wow. But it ended up adding up to 17 points, which puts it in 45th. This is a 45th first rallycross that we're gonna look at. The lowest rallycross that made the list. All right, let's take a look at it. So, see, again, another Season 7. There's a lot of Season 7 and 11. There's a lot of Season 7 and 11 in this part of the list. I wonder why. I mean, it must just be coincidental, but it's weird. All right, so Treppenwitz. This is a rallycross that I worked on. We did some different stuff here, like right here, using the, I don't know what to call that, the moon asteroid terrain or whatever. I don't know, that first section. But yeah, I tried to do a really good mix of the terrain sections and the pavement sections on this track. I tried to have like a really, I still think it's more pavement than terrain, but it's supposed to be like a 60-40 ratio or something like that. I wanted to be something like that. I think this sand section up here is pretty sweet. Also, like, the design of this area just looks pretty cool, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure, I guarantee you, Armada, this is one where he helped me with. And I think he did a pretty good job. Like, I think this track, I think we did a nice job making it look pretty cool. It's also got, like, I don't know, this is what I was going for, and I want to know if anybody else that raced on this got this from this track, but I wanted this to have, like, ORL track type vibes. And that's kind of what I went for. And for some reason, like, this section right here, or this whole area right here with, like, the over-unders and stuff like that, and, oh, this part was crazy tricky, too. This section was nuts. That little chicane downhill, that was crazy. Now that I'm looking at it, this is another solid track. I'm surprised this one didn't get higher. The Joker was pretty cool, too. Goes over right there is cool how it worked out. The last corner. Also, the gate, if you notice... right there, how it like tightens the track. Yeah, pretty unique. This is a track that I'll be honest here. I didn't put this one on my own list, but kind of regretting it. I'm kind of regretting it now that I'm watching this this race. I actually think this is a pretty solid rallycross. So what I try to do with this one again is in like a general sense, this track tries to have like an ORL vibe. So for all you old racers that race in that, you'll I hope know what I mean by that, and I hope agree with it. But like this whole part here, just like the way that it's designed, just looks like something that would have been raced in that league. I don't know how else to describe it. It's hard to like be specific, but just this whole design just looks like something that would have been an ORL. At least that's how I thought. And I hope that again everybody else that raced in it got that from this track. But yeah, we just wanted to, basically I wanted to make something like that, and I wanted to make a track like Latvia, which we'll get to later on, I'm sure. A track like Latvia, but basically just make a longer track. Like Latvia was a pretty short track where I experimented with the style and had fun with it, and I thought I made a pretty good track there. But Treppenwitz was like, all right, I'm going to make like a super track now. Like it's not going to be insanely long, but we're going to have a full track here. We're going to have like minute lap times, something like that. These over-unders and just like this crazy layout, and it worked out pretty well actually. I think this track is pretty solid, of course biased, but I think this track is pretty solid, as with all the other tracks here. For rallycross, I'm surprised this one didn't get more votes. I think this one's pretty decent coming out of myself, but we'll finish watching the end of this lap and then we'll move on to the next one. I'm kind of running out of things to talk about here for Treppenwitz. Oh, actually I'm not. The meaning of the name of the track. So Treppenwitz is a German word, and it means, it literally means staircase joke. So it sounds kind of weird, right? It sounds kind of weird, but I'll explain it. So basically, Treppenwitz is like the feeling of like when you have a perfect comeback for a situation, but you think about it after the situation. So like the way that they would describe it is you would think of it on the staircase. On the way out. That's why it means like staircase joke or whatever. But yeah, that's what the lore for this track. The lore for this track. There's your fun fact. That's what that means. I don't know why. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if I just looked that up or how I found that out. If I heard it in a podcast or something. I have no clue. But I was like, that's kind of a cool word. I wanted to name the track that. I just thought it was cool. Still think it's a pretty cool word. It's neat that they have a word for that. But there you go. There's Treppenwitz RX. Pretty nice track, if I do say so myself. All right. It's time to take another drink. Drink break. Interestingly, we have another rallycross coming up, Auzetta, and again, I'm pretty sure this is season 11. There's so much season 7 and season 11. I don't get it. I'm telling you, there's something to my
Spot the fireball, no.
There's something to my like anti-recency bias theory, whatever the hell I was talking about, that didn't make any sense. There's something to it. It doesn't make any sense, but there's something to it. I'm telling you, it's just weird that there's so much season 7 and 11 at the bottom of the list. But here we go, Auzetta, another Roman track here, and again, surprised that this one didn't make it up higher. I know I sound like a broken record, but seriously, I think we'll get to it, but I think there's a lot of tracks in like the 40-30 range that I thought would have been behind the 50-40 range, and that's why I'm saying it a lot in this video, because that's just like my personal opinion. Like if I made my own list, I would have had a lot of these tracks a bit higher up in some of those tracks, and that range a bit lower. But yeah, Auzetta, I think this track's pretty solid. You've got a crazy like winding layout here, and most of it is you know, pretty much like a GP, but it's got this really cool sand section at the end. I love that downhill right there. It's fantastic. This track was really fun to run laps on. I remember at the time I spent I definitely hold on, dirty on the screen. Okay, there we go. I ran a lot of practice laps on this one. I really enjoyed running the practice laps and trying to improve here. That bridge is sweet. And then here's the transition into the sand portion here. The sand portion is one of my favorite parts of this track. Just goes full motocross for a bit. Where the Joker is too. Taking a look at that Joker on the left, but yeah. Wow, this sand section is a lot longer than I remember. Okay, that's what I was waiting to comment on. And then it ends with that heavy sand chicane into that rumble strip, which is really cool. That part's really fun to run. So yeah, about this track, like I really love the sand portion. The sand portion's great. Would have made for a solid motocross. It's like a little mini motocross, but I really like the sand portion. It's a lot of fun. And then the GP portion as well also has its highlights. The downhill coming up is really cool, and also like the area going into like under the bridge is also really cool. Those are my favorite parts of the GP portion of this track. But overall, again, another solid rallycross out of Roman. This is a more recent one, and I thought he did a pretty good job with it. Again, I'm surprised this one wasn't higher. This part was pretty cool as well. Can improve there. A little quick downhill chicane. Yeah, this part. I like this part a lot too. I think this part is pretty cool. Also, like, I like the size of this track too. It's pretty long, but when you're racing it, at least in my experience, it doesn't feel that long, which is a sign of being a good track. It's usually a bad thing if you think about it the other way. Oh, that person didn't know they were going to take their Joker. Is that Hunter? It looked like they couldn't decide if they're going to take their Joker, and then they saw the person next to him, and they're like, oh shit, now I'm going to take mine. And then they just, like, drove off the berm. That's what it looked like. Lost quite a bit of time there. But yeah, that's really all I have to say for Auzetta. Solid rallycross here. Ended up 44, 18 points. This three-way tie that I'm not going to do a tiebreaker for. We're just going to have it in the order that it's in. I don't know why it's in this order, but it's in this order. So there we go. 43. Wow, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Another season 11. What the f? I'm telling you, there's something weird. Another season 11. Goaty GP. Maybe I don't. I want to see. Yeah, I want to see the start. Okay, there we go. Now we're gonna have to spend a bit of time on this one because this is a long track. It's gonna take some time just to show you a lap. It's gonna take some time just to show you a lap on this one. All right, so Goaty GP, and obviously there's no deeper meaning. I wanted this track to be like my GOAT track for GP. That's what I was trying to do. I wanted to make the GOAT GP, but specifically I wanted to make the GOAT of long GPs. I wanted to make a road course, right? Not a Grand Prix, a road course. Actually, maybe it should be the other way around. I don't know. I don't know, but that's just the way I was thinking about it. So, like, I live fairly close to Road America, and you know that's a pretty long track. Road America's lap time, at least for like NASCAR, in real life. Oh my God, what a pile! Wow, that was crazy. Road America is a very long track, and so that's pretty close to me, and that's the track that I grew up with, and I really look up to that track. I think it's awesome, and I wanted to make. I didn't want to make Road America, but I wanted to make my own track in the style of Road America and try to make it like the best Road America type Halo track I could. So that's what I tried to do with this track. And oh, right there you can tell that section, like this part is very obviously inspired by Road America. That left into the uphill, like you can tell that part's obviously, if you know the track, you can tell that part's like very obviously inspired by it. But yeah, I just wanted, basically with this track, I was just like, fuck it, I want to push everything to the limit. I want to push everything to the limit. I want to have no pieces remaining, and I want almost all of those pieces to go into the track. You know, basically like the bare minimum aesthetics. I want to have. Oh, did he get stuck? Oh, that's tough. Ooh. I wanted to have like the bare minimum aesthetics. I wanted to oh my god, he did. Oh no. Oh no, my track's gonna get downvotes now. Skip past that. Skip past that. No, I'm kidding. It happens. It happens. But yeah, I just wanted to push it to the limit. I wanted as much focus as possible into stuff on the track, like the track surface itself, rumble strips, stuff like that, the pits, and again, bare minimum aesthetics. Not really because I didn't want to focus on aesthetics, more so because it was necessary with this track. It needed to be bare minimum aesthetics for this track to work. Yeah, it just this. If I didn't do the bare minimum for it, I would have had to cut stuff from the layout. And I had this layout idea. I want to say I laid this one out on paper. I got the idea for it, and I was like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna make it work, and that's what I did. And it ended up turning out pretty good. I mean, obviously, like the grass sticking out there, like there was some stuff that wasn't perfect. And again, part of it is because of the fact that this is like 1600. We're literally out of pieces here. So you know, some stuff didn't end up perfect because I pushed it as hard as I possibly could. The object limit, that is. And oh, ouch! Was that launch right there? That was tough. But I think I did a pretty good job considering the circumstances. And this track's just crazy. There's a bunch of different types of corners throughout the whole thing. You know, the first time you're racing it is probably very unpredictable. Like this whole section here is crazy in the way it works out. Lots of over-unders as well. Like I said, the layout is just nuts. And some really skillful sections for a GP too. Like this is one of the hardest. Not only is it one of the longest. Oh god. Not only is it one of the longest GPs, it is also one of the most difficult. There we go. There we go. Avoid using the other words. Like that. Roll it back. Roll it back. Like this whole section here. You saw. I think that was Roman in front. Yeah, it's got to be right. Yeah. His armor looked a little different. But you see, he took it a little bit too hard right there. Spun out. Real Deal was right behind me. And we go like that downhill right there is really tough into the rumble strip. Like that's really tight. And then you go right into like a chicane, like quad chicane or whatever that is after. And then you go into this down. Like this whole part of the track is very difficult and just like relentless. Yeah, this whole portion starting with that neg camber all the way to like to this outer rumble right here. Again, just like absolutely relentless. That whole portion is tough. That is where the better drivers are going to gain a lot of the time. That they will is in that sector. They're going to gain most of the time there. And then I have a little bit of fun with the end of the layout for reconnecting the track. You have these crazy uphills and downhills too. You know, basically right here, just trying to get back on track here. This like roller coaster uphill that I wanted to do on this track as well because I just had so many ideas with pushing it to the limit. I have this like roller coaster uphill into this downhill last corner. That was the whole idea with this part. Just I wanted it to feel like a roller coaster, and I think I pulled that off pretty well into that last corner. It's like a sweet way to end the track. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And yeah, so there's Goaty. This track took a lot of freaking work. It's a crazy layout, but I was really proud of it, and unfortunate that it didn't make it to the top 25, but I'm still really proud of this track. It was a lot of fun to work on. And I want to say I'm sure Armada helped with some of this. I'm sure he did. So thanks to him for that as well. All right, that's enough of Goaty. We're getting there. Like I said, this is gonna be a long video. There's gonna be long videos. Okay, more like I said, this is all like behind the scenes stuff, essentially. Don't expect the normal videos for the top 25 to be this long. You don't have to worry about that. They won't be this bad. Just remember that a big portion of this was doing a more like behind the scenes podcast. Oh, this water bottle, jeez. Come on. It's hard to get open. A little more fucking kidding me? Behind the scenes style here. This cap doesn't even matter anymore. All right, so Yetty, 42. See, I was 19 for Goaty. Whoever number 6 was thought very highly of this track, so number 6, whoever you are, thank you. But yeah, number 6 thought very highly of this track, and it also just barely made it onto number 8's list, so shout out to them. Appreciate it, guys. All right, so then we go on to Yetty here. And these next two tracks, whoever the number 2 submitter was, and number 4 as well here, but mostly whoever the number 2 submitter was thought very highly of these 2 tracks. So Jetta Dome and Yetty. Let's start with Yetty. We're at the home stretch. We're at the home stretch, boys. We're almost there. All right. Home stretch, we're almost there. Okay. I have no fucking clue. Oh, chat. I have no clue when the main starts. Alright, well this looks good. That looks good too. Here we go, here we go. This is probably it. If this isn't it, then it's like a restart close to the start. So, yeah, this is probably it. Alright, so Yetty. Now this is particularly the oval. This track is actually a complex. There's an oval on here. There's a really, really cheesy go-kart, even to my standards of like trying to make tracks cheesy. It's cheesy, and anybody that's raced laps on it will tell you and agree with me. It is one of the cheesiest tracks in Halo 5, probably the go-kart in this complex, and so is the arena cross, and that was the idea with this complex. I wanted to make a really, really cheesy go-kart, a really, really cheesy arena cross, and also this oval. And I wasn't really trying to make the oval super cheesy, so I guess it kind of missed the theme there with the rest of the complex, but also like wanted it to stand out in that way, I guess. Because I don't know, making a cheesy oval, like I thought that would be like really hard and like unnecessary to make the oval super cheesy to make it stand out. So I was like, oh, you know, you already have these other 2 layouts that are super difficult. Why don't I just make this one like just a classic oval and just make it fun to run laps on and battle on, and you know, have it stand out in this complex that way. And so that's what I did. So it's a really, again, it's a really like classic oval layout. You know, fairly short lap times, like an intermediate. I would say this is still considered a short track. I would say this is still short track standards, but like almost pushing intermediate. But really fun to run laps on, really fun to battle on. We have some really good battles in this track. This track's actually really good for battling. The inside and the outside are pretty competitive with each other. Like, I think this track is one of the better ovals at like balancing the inside and the outside. There's definitely still a preferred line, but in battles, in the heat of traffic, it really evens. I mean, look at these like 3 and 4 wides here, and like how much room there is, and you know, you can definitely tell that there's a bit of a cushion up top, like there usually was, but there's also a lot of room down low for you to make runs on the people running that cushion. So it actually evens out pretty well. And also, when you're in the middle of a pack, you can really like steal momentum and stuff like that from the inside. So it ended up balancing out pretty well. What is this? This race is just cheese. Everybody's just crashing every time I skip somewhere. But yeah, I think Yetty turned out pretty well, and the races were pretty good. I had a lot of fun making this oval, and this is honestly one of my favorite, personal favorite. Oh, I made this track, this complex. I don't know if I forgot to mention that. But this is one of my personal favorites of any track that I've made on Halo 5. I really like this one because I mean, we just saw with Goaty. I can get a little cracked sometimes and do some crazy shit. And I can definitely go a little bit overboard with it sometimes. But this one is just like, all right, let's just bring it back to basics. Let's just make a simple, good oval and just make it fun. And I think it did a pretty good job on it. I think it did a pretty good job on it. This is one of my favorite tracks. Was one of my favorite tracks to race on. I had a really good time during this race. And definitely wouldn't mind racing it again. So, yeah. And you can tell there's like the different degrees of banking, like maybe 4 degrees of banking on this track, whatever it was. Worked out pretty well. Racing was pretty solid. I really enjoyed Yetty. Enjoyed working on it. Enjoyed racing it. Like I said, one of my personal favorite tracks of mine on Halo 5. Oh, another crash. Yeah, we'll end it there because there's already so many crashes. Apparently a lot of crashes in that race too. I remember that. So, ending off the video, here we are. Wow, an hour. I was getting worried. With my pacing in the beginning. I thought this was going to be an hour and a half, so I'm pretty happy, honestly. I'm satisfied with this. I thought it was going to be worse. So for you HRL history aficionados, I'm sure you'll be excited to see that this video is this freaking long and we dive into so much old shit here. All right, had to relax for a sec, prepare for this last one. Another 19-point finisher, number 41. Another Roman track, another oval, Jetta Dome, and let's just go over that. We had 2 ovals in this part of the list. We had 2 ovals, 2 GPs, 4 Supercrosses, all in a line, and 2 rally crosses. Okay. All right, well, let's check it out. Here we are.
Hello and welcome to season.
All right, so I didn't know I had the audio on this one. So I think this one just starts, right? Because this is the first oval season, and that's how we did things. So it's like qualifying and here we go. Yes, the start. So Jetta Dome. Here we go, Jetta Dome. So this track was raced in the first oval season. It might have been raced in the second oval season as well. I don't think it was. I want to say it wasn't, but I can't remember. But Jetta Dome, an oval made by Roman, and it's got like Daytona vibes, right? Now, I personally found tracks like this very, very difficult to forge. That's why, like, when you see my ovals in Halo 5, a lot of them are short tracks. There's 2 reasons for that. One, again, I found this type of track. I thought the Super Speedway type oval, or I made some intermediates as well. But I usually were short tracks or intermediates. I usually did not forge ovals like this on Halo 5, me personally. Now, again, 2 reasons. One, I just prefer short tracks. That's just my style. Me as an oval racer, for forging and for racing, I'm just always a short track racer, you know. I go to a lot of short track, or I used to go to and still go to a lot of short track races in real life, so just like I have roots there. Used to film a lot of them. Yeah, some of that's on this channel. You know, brothers used to race in them, stuff like that. So I have a lot of short track roots, and so there's like a bit of a bias there, a bit of a passion there for me. So that's part of the reason why I would usually do that type of track. The other reason is because this type of track, this like longer oval, was just really freaking hard to make work in Halo 5 and it just not be boring. And I think Roman did a pretty took a pretty good jab at it. I think this is the best of this type of track. It's damn near the only one. To be fair, it's damn near the only one, but I'm not saying that in a bad way. And you know, like, you could take that in a bad way. What I mean by that is the reason why this is the only one is because none of the other ones saw the light of day because they all just were shit in testing and nobody wanted to like race them in a season, is essentially what happened to a lot of the tracks that we tried to make that were like this track here. So yeah, basically, definitely, I'm sure I'm sure other forgers, again, comments, let me know. I'm sure you'll agree with me. Anybody else that tried to make an oval track, like an intermediate oval track or a longer Daytona-ish oval track like this, I'm sure a lot of you will agree with me. It was just hard to balance. It was just hard to make this layout and balance it to where it was fun to run laps on and fun to battle on, and where it like worked, where like the battles were good. And like I said, I think Jetta absolutely did the best job out of any of them because it was just freaking hard. I don't know how else to explain. If you tried to forge it, you know what I mean. It was difficult. It was hard to make work, and I think Roman did a pretty solid job here at making it work. And this is like the closest thing to like a Daytona style oval track that we have on Halo 5 that we raced that didn't suck. So I'll take it. I mean, Jetta Dome definitely has a special place in my heart for that we actually got a track type like this that didn't suck. So that's good. That's good, because I thought we were gonna go all of Halo 5. I truly did. I thought we were gonna go all of Halo 5 without something like this, which is unfortunate because, again, even though I mentioned like the short track routes and you know, when I raced in oval series on Halo Reach and in Halo 4, I definitely always preferred short tracks. But racing the big tracks, like we had really good versions of Daytona and Indianapolis and Talladega. on Reach, and those were fucking fun. Like, even though it wasn't my preferred track type, the way those tracks were designed on Reach, and also the Reach draft, which that'll be its own HRL history episode, maybe. The freaking Reach draft. I think Slaunch wins this race, right? I think he did the different colors. I think he ended up taking the dub here. So maybe Slaunch liked this track, you know? And maybe he wanted more of this style of oval, because we only really got one, or maybe there's a second one. And he did really well this race. He pretty much dominated this one, I think. But yeah, I'll have to do another episode. If you didn't experience it, man, the Reach draft, just the way it worked, it's like the weirdest mechanic. And it made those tracks so much fun because you could kind of do an actual tandem draft and get more speed on the super speedways, and you had all this straightaway and these wide corners to just go freaking fast as hell, and have these laggy draft battles that were fucking stupid, and you know, you'd have a lot of random crashes and shit. But it was fun in a shitty way. Like, it was not very competitive. It was not very competitive, but it was absolute chaos. It was a clusterfuck, and you never knew when somebody was going to lag in that draft and either gain a shit ton of speed and make a move on the lead, like I did in one season. I got my one Daytona win because of that. Hell yeah. I always finished poorly on it every other season. One season I had a really good run with, I want to say Edward. So shout out to Edward. I had a really good run with him to make like a crazy late race green flag run. Actually, I want to say we gained like half of the track. This is Daytona, mind you, on the leader, and I ended up taking the win right at the very end. So that was fucking nuts. I wish I had video of that, because that race was fucking crazy. I mean, it should show that, again, that was Reach. That was a long time ago, and I still like vividly remember that one. That was nuts. But yeah, we'll have to do another episode on the Reach draft, man, because that shit was just crazy. But anyways, again, Jetta Dome. Closest thing we have to a Daytona style track that works in Halo 5, and I think it deserved to be in the running for that. It has its own like unique place in this top 50 list, whereas like some other tracks definitely can be like compared with each other. This one for sure is very unique to the other ovals. There's definitely more overlap with with some of the other ovals than there is with this one. This one doesn't have a lot of overlap with any of them, in my opinion, at least in this list, at least in this top 50 list. Oh man, that was, wow, that was something. All right, GG's. So with Slaunch taking the dub there on Jetta Dome, that is going to be it for me. There you go. Your first preview of the track list. Woo! I did it. I did it. We did it. Special thanks goes out to all the track judges that helped me with the list and all the votes and organizing everything and stuff like that. I hope you guys enjoyed this preview. I hope it was fun and not boring. I tried to make it as entertaining as possible while it being freaking like 4 a.m. now. Holy shit. I thought this was going to be a quick video. I was like, I'll just make this before I go to bed, and then, oh man. Just, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. Like I said, I wanted to give the tracks a fair shot. You know, I didn't want to like gloss over any tracks. I wanted to give them all the recognition that they deserved. All right. But there it is, and that also spices things up a little bit, because there's 10 tracks that you now know are not going to be in that top 25. To be fair, I think a lot of reasonable people would have looked at some of these tracks. I mean, maybe a couple of these you might have thought would have made it in the top 25, but I think most of our reasonable judges would have looked at. What did I just drop? We'll figure it out later. I think most of them would have looked at this like these tracks and probably would have had a good chunk of them not in the top 25. So I don't think it's like too spoiler-ish. But yeah, it was fun. I had fun. I hope everybody else did too, and enjoys other stuff like this, because I will probably do a behind-the-scenes video for the other non-top 25 tracks as well. But before that, like I said, I don't want to go too spoiler-heavy. I probably want to get some of those top 25 released first. So this will be it for now, for a while. I don't know how long, and then we'll get to the top 25 hopefully here soon. The voting is going to be done as we speak, within the minute here. It might be done. I've been doing this video so long, Real Dill might have woken up and finished the tiebreaker votes for us. It might literally be finished right now, or he might be working on it right now, so that's crazy. All right, let's close it out. Hope everyone enjoyed it. If you want to see more stuff like this, let me know. Hope everybody is hyped for the top 25 list, and those videos is going to be really sweet. Like I said, it'll be a real treat. It'll be a real treat. You know, I don't want to like gloss over the actual top 25 list. And I think anybody that has a track in the top 25 will be really excited once they see the first couple videos about what I'm working on, and will be very happy about it. It'll be a really nice way to close the chapter in Halo 5. All right, see you next time. Woo!